Content creators of Path of Exile 2 will have a biased opinion on the mass nerfs. Yes, the mass nerf sucks. I'm not happy with all my builds being screwed. Especially, I was having so much fun with my Stampede Poison build. And my Corpse Blade boots got nerfed. Chaos damage got nerfed. Poison DOTs, ultimately got nerfed. But you got people, even people like Yazzie TV, who are, I would have to say, arguably the biggest glazers of the devs is Gazzy and Darth Microtransactions, because they're constantly gassing them up and, laughing it up in their interviews with them. Content creators of Path of Exile 2 are going to have a biased opinion on how bad the nerfs were. Yes, they were horrible. They were bad. But you guys got to remember, this is an early access beta. Everybody was so set in their meta builds that barely anybody would have, effectively been playing the new content, the new ascendancies, the new classes, because everybody had their Stormweaver, Archmage, Spark builds, and their friggin' Invoker Monk builds. Nobody would have moved away from those. They had to do what they had to do, and I honestly feel that, a lot of these nerfs are going to be reverted or pretty close to what they were originally by the time the game's released. Because they have to make us move on and progressively move forward to playing the new content. Because at the end of the day, it's a beta. We are here to test this game, test everything they come out with before release, to make sure everything's working right, everything's playing right. That is what we are here to do. Yeah, people feel that they are entitled to have nothing change that may upset them because they paid for the early access. I paid for the early access to have a part in potentially a huge part of ARPG history. Grinding Gear Games is shutting down one of the biggest freaking gaming companies in the industry. They're shutting down Diablo. They're taking Diablo players from Blizzard. Now, don't get me wrong, Blizzard are a bunch of idiots, and they've done a lot of this on it's their own doing also. People want to complain, oh, POE 1, get back to our content, leave this shit game. They're just a bunch of basement dwellers that are so addicted to that same grind that they've been on for 11 years that they cannot get past playing anything besides POE 1. And they cannot understand that if the POE 2 does not succeed, POE 1 no longer exists. Grinding Gear is not making money that they need to maintain the paychecks and the resources that they need to spend on a free-to-play game, because they're not getting the influx of new players they did 5-6 years ago. So to wish the downfall of Path of Exile 2 because you're a butthurt POE 1 gamer that literally is so addicted to the same shit, chasing your tail around for 11 years, doing the same shit, and you can't handle waiting 5 to 6 months for your content to come in, you go play the same shit you've been playing for 11 years and let the devs do what they need to do to ensure that they're going to make money so they can keep both games going. I don't think people understand that it costs a lot of money for a dev team to pay the paychecks, to have the resources, they have to pay for licenses, they have to pay for for shit like the use of different game engines and shit like that. They have to pay for that stuff. And you don't make a whole lot of money off a free-to-play game if there's not enough new people coming in buying the microtransactions and the content that they're putting out for in the microtransaction store. It just doesn't happen. If Path of Exiles 2 dies, Path of Exile 1 no longer exists. So quit your whining. Stop trying to sabotage POE 2. Yes, I'm not happy with the nerfs. Like I said, my Poison Stampede build was freaking coming together great. Granted, I should have comprehended that. I should have been using the Pathfinder Ascendancy instead of the Chayula Monk. I was focused on the chaos damage. And I didn't know much about the Pathfinder. But that's my fault for not knowing early enough. I'm sure the build's still going to be good because I'm still stacking 8 stacks of freaking poison. I don't even have chaos increases in my passive trees. That's besides the point. People need to understand that they got to do what they got to do. And if they have to completely nuke last league's metas to push people in an early access beta to actually play and test the new content, then that's what they need to do. Because they need to have people that understand this is a beta and things happen for a reason in betas, so that new stuff that comes in with updates and new content that comes in can be played properly, tested properly, and given a fair chance to actually have some kind of feedback. That's not going to happen when people are sitting there stuck in their ways and not wanting to move from their friggin' Invoker Monk or the Stormweaver Spark builds, or their Gemlings, or their lightning, their lightning Rangers. So, you guys need to let the devs do what they're going to do. Because for all we know, any nerfs that happen, they could completely revert them. And the only reason why they happen so drastically is so that we have to play the new content they're putting out so it can get properly tested. But yes, guys, don't sit there and completely take everything that every major content creator for Path of Exiles has to put out there. Because the one thing is known, that they're pissed. You know why? They're pissed that their builds and their beta and the meta builds in a beta are no longer viable. So you know what happens? They no longer make money off of those build guides that they're making. Every POE 2 and content creator that has build guides, take their opinions of the nerfs with a grain of salt, because they are going to be biased, because they're not happy that their money is not going to flow, because their build guides that were making them money in the last couple of months are no longer viable. They're outdated now. So take it with a grain of salt.